Miss Hannah here, Food Corps Service member with the Bishop Paiute Tribe Food Sovereignty Program. Today we are going to be learning how to make tabbouleh. And tabbouleh is my favorite recipe because it combines really simple ingredients. These ingredients are from the garden along with a grain. The traditional grain is called bulgur, okay, and it's used in a lot of Mediterranean dishes. We can also use rice. Other options are quinoa, okay. So the ingredients we have here are cucumbers, fresh from the garden, tomatoes, also fresh from the garden, garlic, green onions, lemon, and we've got some herbs here. So parsley is the #1 herb used in this dish, and this is parsley right here, fresh from the garden as well. We've got basil and mint, okay? We've also got some olive oil, and the tools that we are going to be using is a pot for the rice or for whichever grain we're going to be using. We need some water, measuring cups. We've got 3 bowls and these knives. Okay, we are also going to be learning safe knife tools that are simple and easy and little ways to remember how to do it. All right, so now I've got my friend Daya here and we are going to be chopping the fresh herbs. Okay, so we're going to be starting with parsley. How do you say parsley in Spanish?
Perejil.
Can you say that? All right, so the first step with parsley or any herbs is we're going to pick off the leaves. And this is a super fun activity for little kiddos to do, to help out with, just picking off the little leaves of the parsley. And once you get a bunch here, you can fold it up, kind of roll it up if you want to. And Daya is going to use her claw and hold the knife safely and going to chop away at her herbs. That's what editing's for, right? Nice claw. Or spider. Your claw. All right, so I'm going to show you how we are peeling our cucumbers, okay, before we chop them like we did here. Okay, so I'm going to use one motion because that's the safest motion to do, and I'm going to hold it still and hold my cucumber still, again kind of trying to use the claw here, and I'm going to go straight down, putting pressure on the cucumber, okay? In this bucket, we have all of our food scraps. That's going to go back into the compost. All right, so we are going to go over some simple knife skills, knife safety skills, okay? So here we're going to start with cucumbers. Notice this is a cucumber that we just peeled. We always want to make sure that we peel the cucumber because the outside texture can be a little rough, especially if you have little eaters. So my first tool or skill that I'm going to use with the knife, okay, is I'm going to be pinching it. Okay, so I'm going to be pinching it here kind of like a pencil. Okay, so I'm going to pinch it here, or if this is an unstable grip, you can glide your finger on the top here. Okay, the second thing is my other hand. What I like to tell kids is it's called the claw, like that movie Toy Story where they say the claw, the claw. Okay, so you're going to use what we call a claw. Now, when we hold our claw up, we want to retract our fingers. When we do that, okay, and we put it on a cucumber or whatever fruit we're doing, if I'm chopping here, my fingers are out of the way. If my fingers are here and I start to chop, I'm gonna chop my finger. And I don't wanna do that, okay? So I've got the claw, or another fun way to do it with little kids is if you act like your hand is a spider, you crawl along the cucumber, and you dig your fingernails into it, you retract your claws, and you can start cutting, okay? We are going to use what we call a rocking motion, okay? So you can practice on a cutting board. It's just rocking back and forth, just like this, like you would have a boat. Rock back and forth, okay? So with my claw or my spider, okay, I'm going to grab a hold of it. Now, the next point is my eyes. I want to make sure I'm always looking at the cucumber or whatever vegetable I'm chopping. If I'm looking away, which is really easy to do, and get distracted, that's when things can go wrong. Okay, so my fingers are in, and I'm going to be slicing, just like a rocking motion. Okay, and that's how I'm going to get little slices like this. Now, if I'm cutting a cucumber and I want it diced, which is how we want it in our recipe, okay? The way we dice it is I'm going to make a big cut in half, okay? And I'm going to take half of the cucumber here, use my claw on the side, and I'm going to go in half with my rocking motion here, okay? Then I'm gonna take 1/2, just like this, and cut that half in half. So then I have 2 pieces just like this. Now I'm going to do what I did earlier, use my rocking motion and slice down, okay? What you can do here is either move your knife here or you can slide the cucumber as you go. But make sure your eyes are looking at it to keep you safe. So here I have little bits compared to this, okay? And these are diced cucumbers of what I want. So I'm gonna do the same thing to this side and go all the way down. All right, those are how to chop cucumbers. All right, so while she is finishing up the parsley, I'm going to be chopping basil. How do you say basil in Spanish?
Albahaca.
Albahaca, thank you. All right, so there's a fun way to chop basil. Okay, so it's kind of like wrapping it together. So I'm gonna pinch off all the little leaves, just like we did with the parsley. And I'll show you with a couple of these. Now I'm going to layer my leaves, just like I'm making a bed or making a sandwich. I'm gonna make a basil leaf sandwich. Okay, so as you can see it here, my next step is I'm going to carefully roll it just like this. So it'll make like a little bundle of basil. With that bundle of basil down, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to use my rocking motion and get my fingers out of the way and rock. Just like this. And what we get out of here when we do this method are little ribbons of basil, just like that. Okay, these little ribbons are kind of fun in that salad. Another way you can do it is just to chop it just as she did with the parsley. Okay, so we are going to finish chopping all of our herbs, and then we will get into the green onions and the tomatoes.
Okay, now we're gonna do the tomatoes. Today we have cherry tomatoes, and they're pretty easy to cut. You can either cut them diagonally or horizontally. It doesn't really matter because they're circular. There you go.
Next, we're going to go into our green onions, which my great friend over here is going to show us a fancy way of doing it herself.
Yes, so there's a couple of ways you guys can cut green onions. You can either just cut straight down the middle, not the middle. So you get little wheels of green onions, or you can cut on a bias, and that just means turning your knife on an angle and then cutting this way.
Beautiful.
So it looks a little fancy. And you can impress your friends.
Beautiful. So while she is doing that, I'm going to talk about garlic really quick. Okay, so the recipe calls for 1 clove of garlic, but 1 clove is never enough if you love garlic. So we're gonna do 2 cloves. Okay, and for those of you that have never taken a clove out of garlic before, we're just gonna peel it all back. Okay, like opening a present. Okay, and here we have our garlic clove. Now, this is a really fun way to get the garlic peeled. You take the flat end of your knife right here, you put it on top, take your fist, and you crush it, just like this. Okay, it looks kind of crazy and messy, but look how easily the peel comes off. We've got the peel and the fresh clove of garlic. Okay, so we want to mince our garlic. And mincing garlic is just really, really tiny pieces of garlic. Okay, because we want to get all of the fresh smells out of the garlic. So I'm going to put my garlic together the best I possibly can, use my claw, okay, and I'm going to rock back and forth with my garlic. So I'm going to go a little bit slower. Okay, so we have slices here. I'm gonna move them around. Once I get to this point, I'm gonna use a little different technique, okay? And I'm going to smash all around here, trying to chop up all of my pieces of garlic, okay? Just like this. The fun thing about this is now there's some mixed pieces of basil in here, so it's gonna smell a little bit better. Okay, so that is minced garlic. All right, so we are going to use a lemon for the dressing for this salad. Now lemon is good because it's acidic, so it helps bring a little tanginess to that salad, a little bit, helps to bring out the flavors a little bit more. So I want to bring the juice out of this lemon. And the way I do that, I'm going to cut this in half using my spider or my claw. Okay, rocking motion, cut in half. Okay, luckily this one doesn't have any seeds, but if there are seeds in here, let's make sure we can take them out. You can use the tip of your knife to gradually get them out. Okay, I have a tool here that is a juicer. Okay, if you don't have a tool like this, it's really simple to use a cup. See a cup right here, and all you have to do is squeeze out the juice, and there you go. Okay, but I'm going to use this fancy juicer. So with this juicer, I'm going to press down and twist. These juicers are nice because it has these little slits in here that will catch the seeds, so then our seeds don't get into our juice. Okay, and I'm going to juice this other side, right here, twist. Ooh, it smells so good. Okay, so there is my juice. You can pause it. All right, so our recipe calls for 1 cup of rice. Now rice is really, really easy to make. There's a ratio with it though, because it's only rice and water. If we have 1 cup of rice, we need 2 cups of water because the rice will absorb all of the water while it cooks. Okay, so I'm gonna first start with that 2 cups of water. Okay, so I've got here my cup. Here is 1 cup. And here is my 2nd cup. Okay, so that is 2 cups of water. Now I'm going to go over to the stove and I'm going to bring this water to a boil. So quick kitchen tip. If I have a pot on the stove, I want to make sure that this handle is moved out of my reach. Because if it's here, and I turn around and I hit it, then everything is gonna go everywhere. So quick tip, move this to the side. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on here and bring it to a boil. Okay, some quick tips you can do to bring it to a boil faster is both cover it and put some salt in there. That will help it boil. So I'm going to get my lid and cover it up so it boils faster. All right, so our water is boiling. I'm going to take the lid off and I'm going to decrease the heat. So I'm going to turn it down all the way. And from this position, I'm going to measure 1 cup of rice. Okay? So I'm going to fill it up here with 1 cup. Okay? Take this cup, and all I'm going to do is dump it in here. Put the lid back on, swish it around, and then I'm going to turn this back up to a very low heat. Okay, medium to low heat. It'll bring it up to a boil a little bit more, and once it starts to boil, you're going to turn it down and let it sit. Okay? So it's back to a boil. We're going to turn it down, and it's going to cook. All right, while we are still waiting for our rice to cook, we're just going to combine everything together except for the dressing, not yet. Okay, so we're going to add our tomatoes, chopped tomatoes here, our cucumbers, and green onions, and all of our herbs. Okay, how beautiful that looks, so beautiful. Okay, I'm going to mix it all together, just like this. And you want to get the herbs kind of all over everything, just like that. So it's going to look just like this before we add our cooled rice. Okay. All right, now we are going to do our dressing. Okay, so our dressing is very simple. It requires a little bit of measuring. Okay, so we're going to start with our olive oil. Okay, this is nice olive oil here, and it calls for 1/3 of a cup. So I have 1/3 of a cup right here. I'm going to pour it in, measure it out, and pour it into my cup here. Okay, next we are going to add the lemon juice for the acidity, okay, or the tanginess. So I have my lemon juice in here, freshly squeezed, and this is my tablespoon. Fun fact that a spoon this size is about the same as a tablespoon. Okay, and we are going to do 4 tablespoons. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. That was almost 1 full lemon. Okay, then we're gonna add our minced garlic. Okay, so my garlic is sitting here, and I'm gonna put it all onto my spoon. It's got some some herbs in there to make it nice and yummy. Pour it in. Then I'm going to add a little bit of salt. So I've got some salt here. Careful when pouring it because it comes out really fast. Okay, I'm going to just do a little touch. Start small. Starting small here. Okay, add it in, and now the fun part. Oh, mixing it all together. And it's okay to make a mess because I did. Okay, cool. All right, we have cooked our rice and we've let it cool. Now we are going to add it into the salad, mix it up, and then add our dressing. So I'm gonna mix it all together first, and then add the dressing. And you can use all of it or some of it and then taste it as you go. I like lots of dressing. Some people don't like lots of dressing. So that part you can get creative with. And that is our salad.